meet up, Starbucks, a little 10, 15-minute chat and see what was up. We ended up sitting there for like 2 hours. So, we knew we were going to do this. And here we are, let's see, in January, it'll be 9 years that we've been in office, and we still have 3 more years to go, and then he'll run again. And we have no doubts that he'll win again, and there we go. So yeah, so that's where I'm at now. And then with that, I spend most of my time working, in that capacity, working with the same folks I used to work with, when I was at the TV station. They're the same people.
How do you
So I
mean?
mean,
Really?
yeah, because when I was a reporter and anchor, I was out getting news and covering, in particular, that district attorney's office, and others. So now I'm in the district attorney's office as the public information officer. So now I'm the one dispensing the information.
Now, what's that
The
like
same
making
people.
that transition? Because it just seems like you're on one thing, you're doing the same people, you have a different
Mm.
job amidst the same people.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's really different. I mean, I can tell you, in 9 years, I almost feel like I can take the bar. I know so much legalese, and
Mm.
so many different things. Now, obviously, I couldn't take the bar, but I'm just saying, I am so well versed in the legal field now that I mean, I have conversations with the attorneys in the office all the time on strictly legal stuff. So that was I don't want to say it was a challenge. But it was something I had to dig into because it was what I had to know, for that job. Because when folks are calling, like I used to do, calling or emailing the office for information, there's certain things you can't tell them, and you have to know what you can't tell them, because of state statutes and whatnot, things I never considered. When I was on the other side, and now that I'm, inside the district attorney's office, I'm like, whoa, I can't tell you that. Here's what I can tell you, and
Mm.
that's been, I'd say the biggest thing as far as switching from, out there in commercial uh, media as opposed to being actually in this particular office.
What about these innovations that you have in your office? I keep talking, Lev. You can ask the next question, but you guys are doing some innovation stuff, right? In terms of
Yeah, well,
prosecution.
our office, Mark Dupree, he's a progressive, and with that, he brought a lot of innovation to the office as far as prosecution. We call it. Some people call it holistic prosecution. Other folks call it progressive prosecution. They're basically the same thing. But what it is first recognizing you can't just arrest your way out of a situation. You just can't put people in jail and hope the problem goes away. That
Mm.
they did that, and it doesn't work. We've seen where mass incarceration has gotten us, and what he understands is that most of the people that catch cases, and get charges filed against them in our office, there's a mental aspect to their cases. It's not just somebody, completely aware of what they're doing and going out committing crimes. There's a mental defect, with a lot of folks that has never been addressed. They were just all under the same umbrella. I'll just charge them, throw them in jail, or throw them in prison, and we'll be done. When they come out, we'll just deal with them when they come out. Well, you can't do that, and we don't believe you can do that. So we have a number of diversions. We have drug diversion. So if folks come in and there's a drug connection to their charge, we allow them to go into that drug diversion, and if they complete, it's a long course, it's like 18 months, but if they complete that, the charge goes away, and they get their little gold coin and going about their business, and they're clean, physically. So we have that. We have a veterans treatment court. So vets that come through, we put them through a program. We have uh, a DUI diversion. So if folks get, traffic things, they can go to a diversion as well. Our juveniles have the same diversions. We just feel like if you try to address, the issue, you don't have the problem with a high recidivism rate. So hopefully, these folks, they go through the programs, they do, whatever's required of the program, and then they just go on to, become, lawful citizens again. And so with that, we also do what's called an expungement fair. Now, an expungement, if I'm sure you guys know what an expungement is, but for some of your viewers, that's when you petition the court to, after you've committed your crime and after you've served your time and completed restitution, paid back money, whatever it was, within 3 to 5 years, depending on the charge, you can petition the court to get that charge wiped out and cleared out. So what we do here, every year we do an expungement fair, and with that, there are attorneys from our office. We have the ACLU, we have Kansas Legal Services, and a couple of college students from University of Missouri, Kansas City. We all come together, and it's done through our office, but we all come together and we just let the entire community know. We let the entire metro know if you committed a crime in Wyandotte County and you fall under, the umbrella of being able to get your crime expunged, then come on over. We'll do the paperwork for you. We're doing everything for you. The only thing you do when you leave that expungement fair is take it to the court and just file it with the clerk, and that's it. And in Kansas, it's $200 to do, $195 to $200 to do. We even found a grant for that, to just pay for that, for folks. So there's no excuse, for folks to do that. And let's see, it's a 2-day fair. So the one we just did in July, we do it every July. The one we just did this past July, we had 170 folks come in, and get the process started. And this is our 7th year we've done it. So I forgot what the total was, but I think it's almost 1,200 that we've been able to get through, for folks to get through and start the process to clear their records, and that's a part of what we do here.
Yeah,
that's great. I wonder where. One natural question is, it sounds like the DA's been in the office and not long enough. Maybe you can compare some of the recidivism rates from before. I mean, are you seeing kind of a drop in that? Like, how effective is this being? And then, two, I wonder, like, is there this is a whole nother can of worms, but were there other? Well, it's not a whole. I'll skip that question for now. But what? Is there other models in the country that the district attorney used to form these programs where you see these kinds of successes as well in other places? So yeah, one, are you getting good data coming back from this? And two, like where did they get some of these ideas from?
Okay, so I'll answer the second question first. It started in Dallas. And that's where we got the model from. Now, there are any number of cities that do it now, because Dallas, I believe they started well before we did. We picked it up, like I said, in 2018 is when we picked it up. And but we did not create it. Right. I have no problem saying that we didn't create it, but we saw what Dallas was doing and how it was working, and we brought it here. I don't know the number of cities that are also doing it now. I just know we got it from Dallas, and as far as I know, Dallas was they were the originators for this. Now, as far as the recidivism, I don't know the numbers as far as folks coming back, because we get, on average, I'd say 1,300 cases a year, so I don't know who was expunged and they reoffended or something like that. But I would just imagine that, I'm only guessing here, I would imagine that it's low, because once you get that cleared off your record, you don't want to go back, because when you get your record expunged, no one else ever knows that you even had a crime, except for law enforcement and the DA's office. We know, but no one else could know. So what it allows you to do, say you want to get that job, say you want to get housing, or something like that. That's where an expungement, a clear record comes in handy, because you can't get those things, with a dirty record. You just can't. I remember the first expungement fair. We had a lady. she had gotten hired at this company at, this pretty decently high level, and then they found out about a record. They said, we can't hire you. We can't. I mean, well, we can't hire you at that. We can bring you in at an entry level, but that's it. Well, she came to the expungement fair, got it cleared, and the company rehired her back at that initial, thing. So, it's just a good thing, because a
Right.
company can say, that one, they're partnering, with our office to help, better people's lives. And, at the same time, the individual feels a lot better. They're not going to, I wouldn't think they would want to jeopardize what they've gained by getting an expungement just to reoffend and do something, do something again.
Right. And I can see how, like, the benefits even for, beyond, these people's lives, but, so socially, in terms of the social cost, you get people that can get their jobs, and then, then they're not having to be houseless or commit other crimes, or, I can see how it echoes progressively throughout, society when you don't have to dedicate so much resources to housing people in jail for minor offenses. And you can, address some of these other social issues where if people can get better jobs, then they can afford to live where they need to and stuff. So it seems pretty positive.
Absolutely.
And I like that it comes from Dallas and not like San Francisco or Berkeley or something, because it adds a little extra weight, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was hoping to talk about, because when you talk about this is objectively a progressive thing, and I don't think people think of Kansas City as being the heart of progressivism. Is there like a gap between what you, in your opinion, between what people will have politically, locally, as opposed to what's going on nationally? Because that's something that, the national level, the present administration would oppose that sort of thing. They're building prisons, for God's sakes.
Yeah. There's a huge difference. Kansas City, the metro, while it's wide, it's pretty insular. On both sides, and I'll give you an example. This metro. Well, let me back up. Let me go to the progressive side of both cities. If you say Kansas City, most people would think, oh, okay, yeah, they got barbecue and a bunch of white folks, and okay. No, Kansas City, Missouri, black mayor Quentin Lucas, black district attorney. They just call them county prosecutors there, but Melissa Johnson, black woman. The superintendent over there, school superintendent for the Kansas City schools, black man. I don't know his name. Kansas City, Kansas, the mayor, black man, Tyrone Garner. The school superintendent, black woman, Anna Stubblefield. The district attorney, black man, Mark Dupree. The chief deputy district attorney, black man, Damon Mitchell. All four public information officers in the metro, black people. And it's something that folks wouldn't know, but that's our reality here. So with that, you find politically, just traditionally, black folks fall a certain way on a lot of issues. Now, I'm not talking about Black MAGA, but just traditionally, we tend to fall a certain way, and it's easier for us to go a progressive route because we're in the trenches and we understand, the issues that are going on, here, because in most cases we're from the area. And most of those folks are from, the Kansas City metro. Now, I'm not. And I think one of the other folks that I mentioned is not. But other than that, yeah, folks are from this area. So they understand what's going on here. So they're able to address things here as opposed to concerning themselves, with the current administration.
Okay. Can we go ahead, Love, please?
Well, I kind of want to go back to your local news experience because, even when I travel, but here in Portland too, like, I find that the local news is so like focused on crime. And I mean, obviously, this is in your wheelhouse because you're working for the DA's office and you covered it before, but you know what I mean? Like I always like watch the local news and I feel like, God, it seems just so more soaked in crime and sensationalism of these, like, and it doesn't really feel accurate or at least representative of what's really going on in the city. Like, was that your experience, and what is that like to deal with?
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, we'll probably spend a couple minutes on this, so because of what I'm about to say, so
Yeah.
if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So with local news, it's always been said, and you guys have heard this before: if it bleeds, it leads. You've heard that before, and it's true. It didn't come from nowhere. You know, it was a real thing, and it continues to be a real thing. Uh, that is the thing. That's the grabber. You know, to get folks, you know, to the station. If we start out a newscast saying, you know, hey, there's a tulip festival in, you know, Ponchatoula. Well, yep, click. Not watching that. But if we lead with, you know, 14 people dead, you know, shooting in Walmart. Oh yeah, I'm hanging out for that one. You know, and that's just the way it is. And you know, local news has perfected the manner in which they keep you. Because here's the thing about local news, and it really, well, I'll just stick with local news. I don't want to get too far out in the weeds, but when you watch a TV show, you think, you know, the commercials are there just to be there, just to break up the show. No, that's not the case. Okay, so let me go back to local news. The news, the commercials aren't there just to break up the newscast. The purpose of local news, we show you stories to get you to the commercials. We don't show, it's not the other way around. You know, a lot of people think it's the other way around. It's not. We're just trying to get you to the commercial. And then we'll come back and we'll hook you. And that's why you'll see the tease, you know, before the commercial, you know, comes, when we return, blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, man. Okay, now you're to the commercial, because that's what funds our station. That's our moneymaker. So if we get you to hang on, we get you for another 4 minutes. Boom, commercials. You're coming up. Get you to the next thing. Here's sports with your Chiefs, Mahomes, all that stuff. Oh, I love Mahomes. I'm going to hang out for that. So you hang out. We get you to the next set of commercials. And that's what it is. I don't want to use the term science of what it is, but that's how it's, you know, really set up. And a lot of people think it's the other way around, that, you know, the commercials, you know, are there to keep you hanging on for the newscast. No. Right. We're doing that to get you to what funds us.
You must have watched that change, though, over the course of your career, because it's a way more intense now than it was in the 20th century.
Well, yeah, because there are more channels. Think about it. You know, in the 80s, yeah, absolutely. In the 80s, you had maybe, well, let's go back to the 70s. In the 70s, you had your CBS, ABC, and CBS, and then whatever UHF, you know, channel was out there. You know, with the big clunker, clack, 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 clack. You know,
big shout out to Houlihan and Big Chuck. That's what
and I was thinking about them, but I was like, I don't think anybody will know them.
I don't even know. I don't even know what you said. What did you say?
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Big Chuck.
There was this local TV show, Friday night, pre-cable stuff. They showed monster movies on Friday night, and there were these local hosts named Houlihan and Big Chuck, and they were a draw. People watched them on Friday night. You came home and you watched 11:30 to see Houlihan and Big Chuck, and they did skits, micro version of Saturday Night Live, just super cheesy stuff between going back to the vampire movie.
And this is in Columbus, Ohio?
That was in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland.
But it was on UHF. UHF, right. We can't go so deep in the woods that we have to explain UHF to a lot of people. A lot of people don't know what UHF is.
So, no, go ahead, Daniel. No, please expound on Big Chuck and Houlihan.
No, because I'm going to let you and Love get your last serious news lick thing, because I'm going to take it back to Sandusky after this. So finish your point.
Okay. So in the 70s, you just had a couple channels. In the 80s, it was like that. But then you had the advent of CNN, and then it just started to explode, and ESPN. And then it just started to explode, where now, I mean, there are literally hundreds of channels and hundreds of news outlets. And, you know, to the point where now, you know, this right here is the news outlet. It's
Right.
not the TV. This
TikTok.
is the thing now. And it's just the evolution of media. And, so these stations have to compete, against that, that smartphone. And it's tough. It's really tough because that smartphone can get a story out 10 times faster than a local TV station can, because the one thing a smartphone has is immediacy. A newscast, well, it's not coming on till 6 o'clock. So if something happened at 4, yeah, you can break in with breaking news, but by the time you do that, we already know. You may give us some filler, but we know the gist already, and that's the tough thing, for media these days. And in media, when I first got into it, and I went into it, gosh, I did it for 31 years. So I went in, Donnell, and left right after high school. I left 2 weeks after graduating Sandusky High School. I was gone, and best decision I ever made. Sandusky is cool, and we're gonna talk about it in a minute. But I was out. So I went into the Army as a broadcast journalist, and that's where I got my start. So while college kids were getting theory, doing the same thing I'm doing it there in mass communications, whatever, I was doing it every day as an 18-year-old. That's what I was doing. So I was so far ahead, of those college kids and whatnot. So and we can talk about that a little bit later, because I know you want to get on Sandusky, and we can certainly do that. But yeah, that's where I got my start, and we can talk about in a little while. We can come back to it, and I want to talk about Cleveland and and a guy named Bill Jaycox. Do you remember him, Donnell?
I do remember Bill
Black
Tate from
guy.
TV. From TV. What about him?
Yeah. That's it. And that's the only way I knew him too. Well, heck, we can talk about it now. Can we talk about it now?
Yeah. Wait, I got one more comment, and sorry, and then we can ride out the Ohio reminiscing after that. But one is, everybody, let's think about the importance of public broadcasting. Support your local news, because those are people that are driven by community support and not necessarily by ad revenue. So as important, sources of information all around the country, everybody, let's think about that. But two, and this leads us, you don't have to answer this too much if it's too hot politically or something, but listening to you, you sound like you got your shit together. You know what you can say and what you can't say. And I wonder what you think about Kash Patel and these mess of press conferences he's been having, where he's, spilling the beans on ongoing investigations or getting, ahead of his skis. And I don't know if you have any sort of comment on that. It's just unusual even for an FBI director, I imagine, to have that much of a spotlight on him for that.
Yeah, it is highly unusual. Until that guy got in that seat, you just never saw it. This whole administration, folks just want to jump out there and be the beginning and end of everything. Pete Hegseth did it with the generals.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, you're going to bring all these generals to one location, which is, strategically and militarily ridiculous. Not in one spot. And let's be honest, that whole thing could have been a Zoom call.